is the greatest moment in my life.
Yo!
I honestly thought you was just not going to say anything at all then. Just sit there and just hard face me. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. What was there a delay? Was there between the thing finishing and me saying that?
Yeah, of about 5 seconds. You could have parked a bus in that gap.
Really? Because to me, it literally finished and I spoke.
No, well, unless we're having internet problems already, which will be typical for us. But yeah, there was a delay. Anyway, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. I'm right. Birthday week, isn't it? Eh? You,
It
me,
is.
Livy,
Happy
my
birthday
nan,
to you for yesterday,
and to you for last week, my friend. Do
Thank
anything
you very
for
much.
it?
Yeah, me and the wife went to the cinema yesterday, ironically enough. And you're freezing. Brilliant. Great start.
Things got a bit funny then.
Have you finished?
Have I finished? What was I doing?
You were frozen. Anyway, I went to the cinema. We went to watch Knock at the Cabin with great wrestler turned actor Dave Bautista in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Fair enough. He's been in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. Is it Drax? Drax, I think.
Yeah. I like Batista. But I like Batista as a wrestler. I don't watch a lot of movies. So
he plays a really good part in this. A lot of the kind of a stereotype he will get, like of a big action hero. This one is like a really kind of a mild-mannered character, but still very kind of ominous and terrifying. The film is, I don't know whether I liked it or absolutely hated it. It was that confusing.
Okay.
Acting wise, brilliant. Rupert Grint, who's Ron Weasley in Harry Potter, he plays a good part. Dave Bautista's really good in it. But it's a film by M. Night Shyamalan, the guy who did Sixth Sense and Signs and The Village. So I watched it expecting a massive twist, as he normally does, and there was no twist. It was just the film just plodded along and ended. I was disappointed because there was no twist.
Perhaps that was the twist. You were expecting a twist and there wasn't one. That's your twist.
I mean, yeah, that is a very much a twist, but yeah, like I said, good film. I would recommend it, but I was just disappointed when it ended.
You'd recommend it, but you were disappointed with it.
Yeah, but that's because I was expecting a twist. Just don't expect a twist and you'll love it.
Okay, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. No worries. I suppose we better get on with the show, but haven't we really? Because we've got.
It's a wrestling podcast.
Apparently so. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever and whenever you may be listening or watching from. This is Chain Wrestling Live with Mags and Si, an SJP World Media production, episode 109. Lots and lots and lots. I am Si, and with me, as always, is the big boss man to my at a big loss, man. I mean, why the hell are people voting for this shit?
Who the fuck nominated this? Ridiculous.
Some fucking melt with a funny accent. The Hangman's Noose to my movement that's loose. Haha, poo joke. A podcaster who wins polls by picking total shite because I guess the whole CWF just want to see the fucking world burn. Mr. Mags, the podfather himself.
I mean, not the whole CWF. Steve-O went on a rant about definitely do not pick this match, but
he did.
They also like to see us tormented. This may be a record-breaking match in the very worst way when we get to it.
Well, yes, it may well be. On the plus side, it was very short, so I think it's only going to take us 2 minutes to cover it.
Very short, but incredibly not sweet.
Magsy, before we get on to Mags v Si, shall we have a quick run through the chat and see who has joined us at this early stage?
Yes, we shall. We've got Connor in the building. Hello, all. I'm sorry I missed last week's show. Went through a mental episode with anxiety and whatnot. Coach Panorio, thank you for providing a comic relief. First of all, Connor, absolutely no problem. I'm glad we can provide that comic relief for you.
Yes.
Also, just remember, we're always here for you to reach out if you're struggling. people do care, and people are there to support you. So I hope you're feeling better. And if you need to talk, you can definitely contact me or Sa or probably any of the CWF, because we're a little family and we're all there for each other.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. I second that 100%. God bless you, Connor.
Yeah, and then Dan Griffin echoing the same kind of thoughts as us, saying the CWF has got his back, and then shits on the rest of the CWF by saying he won't be around this week because he'd rather watch two mid-table teams kicking a ball around a pitch.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big battle to sort of get 10th place, I suppose, isn't it? That extra couple of quid there, you know.
Those Europa League spots.
I don't even think they're going to get that. Anyway.
And finally, it's obviously not finally, but we've got Sharon in the chat saying it's Monday night. You know what that means. I mean, finally, we get the catchphrase in. And young coughing Charlie is in the house as well. Hello, Charlie.
Yeah,
how are you?
Spluttering her guts up, coughing away, wasn't she? Yeah,
but
the attention seeker.
King's Pig's Bladder in the house. Hello, sir. How are you? And then Dan Griffin, typically lying as per. He's about for the first bit because I'm taking a halftime shit. Classy as always, Dan. Classy. Sharon chirps back in saying Batista, the actor, is better. Do you know what? I would agree. I think some of his acting parts have been really, really good. His wrestling, I mean, he was a good big man, but it was nothing spectacular. So yeah, I agree that he's a better actor than a wrestler. Amazing
entrance theme though.
Yeah, especially when you watch Xavier Woods
yes,
rather than Batista. Scottish Danny in the house. Hello, sir. And can't believe this won the poll after DiBiase and Savage was a mascot. Yeah, it's your own fault. You all voted the wrong way on purpose. And Dan, finish my shit. See you all in a bit. And lastly, for now, kind of quick refresher on how football works, Mr. Mags. I know I was being pedantic, Connor. I understand that spots 1 to 4 are Champions League. I know.
Keep up, lad.
Just costed battling relegation. King's Big Man, I feel the vote was rigged by the Chinese government. Well, that's what you get for shooting down their spy balloons. You get to listen to us talk absolute wet about a horrible, horrible match.
Well, apparently, at some point last month, we were the 21st most listened to wrestling podcast in China. So
why would you say that out loud? You know China are the enemy of the West. We'll now be investigated by the FBI because we're spies. We're not spies. We are not spies, just for clarification.
No, I'd be rubbish at being a spy. Absolutely rubbish. People tell me something in secret. I'd have a couple of beers and I'd just blab it away. So, you remember when we had that one random listener from, was it Uzbekistan or something?
And you did a full episode about Uzbekistan facts. I very much remember that.
Yes. I was going through all the analytics and the stats and so on. They've never come back. So.
Well, you telling them about how great their country was. It looks like my camera was unplugged, it says. Brilliant. You looking like tell them how great their country was made them piss off.
Yeah. I provided. I didn't just provide facts about how great their country was. I felt I provided an education.
Maybe that's what they didn't want. They didn't want an education.
Yeah, maybe. Speaking of educating, Mr. Mags, speaking of people knowing things or learning things, we're going to have the second installment, aren't we, of our new segment, Mags v. Si.
Just in case you enjoyed the first one.
Mags. Soy. Mags. Soy.
Mags v. Si.
I mean, I don't get where the cow mooing fits into that.
I can tell you exactly why there's a cow mooing, because when I
You're from
made that,
Gloucester.
no, well, I suppose, yeah, maybe, but no, but the reason was because when I made that jingle, I said to the kids and my wife, "What's a funnier noise, a duck or a cow?"
You're a fucking child. You're an absolute child.
And cow won, so that's why it's got a moo on it. But
Brilliant.
as a little special surprise, it is not just us this week, Mags, is it?
It's not. We have got a quiz master.
I see what you did there.
That was good.
I see what you did there. My wonderful wife, my much better half, Sharon, is going to quiz master for us, and just to show how much Magsy trusts me, and also in a roundabout way, I think is questioning your integrity, Sharon. He didn't
Not
send
at
his
all.
questions to you until about a minute before we went live, did he?
No, he did not.
Whoa.
Disappointed, Max.
I have no issue with the integrity of Sharon. It's your integrity, sir, that I have a lot of issue with.
Oh, I 100% asked Sharon this afternoon. She'll give me the answers to your questions.
And yeah, exactly. So if I'd have sent them when you asked for them, you would have known the answers.
No,
Or
she
you
He
would have tried
wouldn't,
to
because
get
I
the
wouldn't
answers.
tell him.
but
She just point blank told me.
He's snaky. He would have like distracted you and had a quick peek.
You can't
And
get
then
him a phone,
forgot.
Max.
And then forgot the answers anyway.
Oh, Scottish Danny in the chat. That is fantastic.
Is she the third woman?
The famous Bobby Heenan line when Hogan strode down to the ring at Bash at the Beach. Whose side is he on? So this is going to take the format of the previous edition of Mags v Side, which Magsy won. He is 1 up, and I feel that this is going to be a reoccurring theme. We're going to have 5 questions each, penalty shootout style, read to us by the glorious quizmaster Sharon, and we're going to alternate and do exactly as we did previously, Magsy, aren't we?
We are. And this week's topic is it's linked to today because I had a look on what happened in wrestling, a website what tells you what happened on certain days. And today was the day that Shawn Michaels lost his smile and forfeited the title. So I thought it'd be interesting to have a Shawn Michaels quiz, knowing that he's your boy, and I don't particularly like the guy, so giving you a bit of an advantage there.
So what you really mean is you wanted to, first of all, embarrass me on a topic I should know a lot about, because I'm going to.
Can you imagine if I beat you and I can't stand the toss pot?
And secondly, you thought you would take the opportunity to, be inspired by one of the saddest moments in professional wrestling history when Shawn lost his smile, probably because Bret Hart was being a bully backstage again.
No, I mean, it was drug fueled as well. Don't forget that. But no, it was just because it was a special day. The 13th of February was when he gave it up. So I thought it'd be interesting to just have a quiz about the Heartbreak Kid.
Indeed. And we've limited it to his first run, haven't we? So from the barbershop window incident through to his last match at WrestleMania 14.
Yeah.
I suppose the only thing left to do is to dive on in. Magsy gets the first question. Mags, don't you?
Awesome. I mean,
well, that's what you said last time.
So. That's how I've written it down, to be honest. Mags first. As
brilliant.
Hang on. Do you mean Mags gets the first question, or you get the first question from Mags?
No, Magsy gets asked the first question.
Okay. I've written it down wrong then.
Awesome. Just as professional as us then.
You fit in well, my love.
Are we ready?
We are.
Mr. Mags. Shawn Michaels is known as Mr. WrestleMania, but how many WrestleMania matches in his first singles run did he win?
Now I'm sure I have got a similar question. I think it's 4. I think it's 4.
Is that your final answer?
It is. You're very Anne Robinson. Could have called me an idiot afterwards and say I was the weakest link.
Well, you're wrong. So
Yeah.
it was actually 2.
I know. I don't want to give it away, but yeah. That's a good
Oh,
question.
man.
Thanks, mate.
Mr. Simon.
Yes, indeed.
Shawn Michaels defended the Intercontinental title against Razor Ramon in a ladder match at SummerSlam 1995 that almost matched their WrestleMania 10 match.
Mhm.
But who did Shawn beat to regain the title in the month before?
1995. The month before, so that'd be an In Your House event. Jeff Jarrett.
You are right.
Oh, don't do that. That's too much suspense. That is. You're going all bloody Tarrant on Millionaire now. Make your mind up which host you are.
I like the power. It's great.
Well done.
Right. Well done, Simon.
Thank you.
I'm trying to keep track of everything. Right.
So I'm keeping score as well.
I'm keeping score. That's all right. Mr. Mags, question 2. Shawn Michaels wrestled on the very first Raw. Who against?
Oh, good Lord. This is a stab in the dark. I'm going to say Duke the Dumpster Drawser.
Incorrect.
I am not
answer
surprised I was wrong.
Is Max Moon.
Oh, how did I not get that? What
Friend
an
of the
idiot.
show, Max Moon.
Yeah.
Hall of Lame inductee, Max Moon. I think he was the first one I put in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because he's shit.
Mr. Simon.
Yes.
Shawn Michaels won the 1996 Royal Rumble to earn a title shot at WrestleMania 12. But who did he defend that title opportunity against at the In Your House held between the Rumble and Mania?
Oh shit. I think he's got me. I'm gonna. Was it Owen Hart?
Is that your answer, or was that a question?
Go. Yeah. All right. Fucking hell. Pressure's on, isn't it? Jesus. I'll go with Owen Hart.
You are correct.
Oh,
flying.
do you know what? I don't. And this is going to be amazing to think, considering Sean's my guy and all that. I don't think I've ever seen that.
It was the lump. Was it? Oh no, Rage in the Cage. I think the pay-per-view was.
Okay,
Rage
I've
in
seen
the
the main
Cage.
event. Yeah, I've seen the main event with, was it Brett and Diesel?
Mm-hmm.
But I've not. Yeah, I'm not. I don't think I've seen the Owen match. I'm gonna go. That's what I'm doing tonight. Let's go.
Mr. Max.
Hello.
Shawn Michaels stepped in for Jerry Lawler at Survivor Series 1993 and tagged with 3 masked men. Can you name them?
I've covered this as well on an episode of the 90s wrestling podcast, and I forgot who they are, but they were the King's Knights.
3 may be a bit harsh. Should we say 2 out of 3 will get you a point, maybe?
I'm not going to get them. I know who they are, and when you say them, it'll annoy me that you've said them, but I can't. The names are just not in my head at all, so I pass.
They were the Black Knight, the Blue Knight. No.
The answer is Jeff Gaylord, Barry Horowitz, and Greg Valentine.
Annoying, because we spent ages laughing at Jeff Gaylord. Oh.
Mr. Simon.
Yes.
How many times has Shawn Michaels vacated or been stripped of a WWF title?
So, just for clarification, Maxie, are we talking any title or are we talking the WWF title?
We're talking any title in this run.
Okay. There was. I'm going to say 3.
Is that your final answer?
If I've got it right about, I think, a tag run, I'm going to say 3.
Incorrect. The
Oh,
answer
not
is
bad.
5.
Really?
Yes. Are
5?
you going to run through them, Max, or do you want me to run through them?
I mean, I can. So he forfeited the RC title to Dean Douglas.
Yes.
He had 3 tag team title runs that ended with forfeiture or stripping. The Diesel when they couldn't work together. Also Diesel when they had to hand the titles back to Owen and Yokozuna. And then Stone Cold Steve Austin. When they had a backstage brawl and with Bret Hart and Shawn was suspended, and then obviously the WWF title where he lost his smile. He's actually forfeited a title more times than he's lost a title in a match.
Oh, Sean, you are a scamp. Oh man, I'm gutted I didn't get that. I'm embarrassed.
There was one of them I didn't know. The second Diesel one I totally forgot. The one where they had to hand the titles back.
Both the Diesel ones I forgot. I got the 2. I got the singles and I got the Steve Austin one. But yeah, not bad. Okay, so it's 2-0 still.
Yep.
Question 4, Mr. Mags. HBK won 2 Royal Rumbles, 1995 from number 1 and 1996 from which number?
And we're going to say 1 either way, are we?
We will accept 1 either way.
Is it the famous 27? I'm going to go 27.
Incorrect.
See,
The answer
I am not
is
a Marcos
18.
boy. I am not a Marcos boy whatsoever. I've embarrassed myself so far.
18, mate, he was. Yeah.
Well, we'll give you like 10 out of 10 for effort.
I mean, I was within 10, so that could be a point.
It could give you 1/10 of a point.
And I would happily take that.
Okay, so that's well, I suppose that means it's unassailable, but we're going to carry on with the last couple of questions.
Yeah, of course we are.
You have to. You need a result.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Mr. Simon.
Mm-hmm.
In August of 1997, Shawn and Triple H formed D-Generation X. Name all of the members of the faction between the start of the group and Shawn's 1998 retirement.
Well, okay, well, you got Triple H and Shawn, obviously. China. Rick Rude. The New Age Outlaws didn't come into it till after he retired, did they? So I'm going to say, is that the 4? Is that it? Or is there one randomer?
You're asking what you're telling.
Mike Tyson.
You are correct.
Done. Well done.
I didn't know what to say then because I didn't want Max to shout at me.
Last go around then.
Right.
Last go around.
It is.
Question 5. Mr. Mags. Shawn Michaels had 2 classic ladder matches with Razor Ramon. One at WrestleMania 10, the other at SummerSlam 95. Which was longer?
I think it's the SummerSlam one. I think it's SummerSlam. So
Is that your
SummerSlam.
final answer?
It is. It is, Chris. For £64,000.
You are correct.
Hooray! Salvage some dignity.
I didn't think there was that much between them until I actually looked it up.
It's
There's
about
like 10
7 minutes. Is it? Yeah, but I thought it was about
it's a big
7.
old chunk of time.
Mm.
Mr. Simon. What is Shawn Michaels' WrestleMania record in his first singles run?
2 wins out of 6.
You are correct.
Do you know who all the opponents were? I mean, not for any bonus points, but just for glory.
Tito Santana at WrestleMania 8.
Mm-hmm.
Tatanka at WrestleMania 9.
Mm-hmm.
Razor at 10. Diesel at 11. Brett at 12. Didn't work 13. Austin at 14.
Correct. Nailed it.
That is insane.
Sean's my guy. So there we go. That concludes the second edition of Mags v Si. And it's all level now, mate. It's all level now with a 4-1 victory this week. It's 1 apiece overall, buddy. This is intense shit.
Well, no, I mean, on your side, maybe he's been the competitive arsehole that you are. But no, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got one. I didn't want a full whitewash, but yeah, I thought you'd do that good. I really, with Sean being your guy, I thought, yeah, he'll do well on these.
I nearly fucked up the DX one though, because I started thinking really strange shit like Nicole Bass and crazy fuckers like that, and then
or Tori. And I don't think
Tori.
Nicole
Oh,
Bass
yeah.
was ever in it, but Tori was. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting Nicole Bass and Tori confused, but yeah. So there we go.
Oof,
I want to
poor
thank our
Nicole Bass.
quizmaster, Nicole Bass.
Yeah, thank you very much, and we'll see you again in a fortnight, I assume.
See you in a fortnight.
Thank you, Sharon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was good, mate. I enjoyed that. We've got to think of a
Well, you will,
topic for
'cause you
next
won.
week now.
Yeah.
Well,
'Cause you
yeah.
won.
I enjoyed it last week. Well, not as much, but
It always feels better when you win. But yeah, that was
indeed.
fun. Yeah,
Indeed.
really
No, that was good. Well, looking forward to doing it again, mate. Looking forward to doing it again. Charlie in the chat there saying Mummy was amazing. Yes, she was.
Yep,
She did very well.
absolutely a brilliant quiz master. Thank you very much for that, Sean. We'll see you in a fortnight.
We will indeed, mate. We will indeed. I guess, Magsy, I suppose we want to just move on now and check out our non-wrestling topic, do we?
We do, and I've got to quickly load up the video.
NWT time. Oh! No wrestling talk here. It's the non-wrestling topic.
Lovely. Nice. Lovely. Nice. Ooh, lovely. Lovely.
Lovely indeed. Lovely indeed. And it is lovely things we are discussing, Magsy, isn't it? Sharon just saying she is back in the chat. Awesome stuff. Sharon, you were fantastic. Thank you so
You
much
were
for your help with
absolutely
that.
brilliant. Thank you very, very much. Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to it already in a fortnight's time. But yes, it is lovely stuff we are talking about, Magsy, isn't it? It's sequels to movies or the part 2s or whatever that were better than the originals.
Yeah. This
Can
was like a topic that you put forward, and we kind of like stretched it out a little bit. So this is definitely going to be something we revisit very, very soon. But yeah, the essentially sequels that pissed all over the original.
Indeed. It's quite, I suppose it can be quite a controversial thing because, you know, you're looking at different people's tastes, different people's opinions and so on. But the majority of sequels tend to be viewed upon not as good as the first time round, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting seeing what we got, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And we got some really good answers. Some answers that I wholeheartedly agree with.
Ah, okay. Is there any that you disagree with? Or shall we just wait and see?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Okie doke. Okay, first of all, I will go through them in the order we received them, Magsy. I know that makes you happy. We have Good Cop, Bad Cop at Good Bad Wrestle on Twitter. He says here, I don't remember Malcolm 9, but Malcolm 10 was great.
Brilliant. This reminded me of a story that I heard a long time ago, and it shows the ignorance of Americans. And obviously, Graham is a disenfranchised Brit who now lives in America. But there was There was a film about King George III, and it was about how he went mad from, I think he contracted syphilis and it sent him mental.
Okay.
And they made a film about it, and it was called The Madness of George III. But because of the way that the English write the royalty in numbers, it was George and then 3 R's.
George,
So, yeah. So when it was put towards American audience for like research, they said, yeah, they enjoyed the film, but they've never seen The Madness of King George 1 or 2.
Oh my
because
God.
they thought it was the second sequel. So the film got changed to just be called The Madness of King George because of idiot Americans.
Oh dear. But we do love our cousins across the pond, obviously. Graham himself at MGB Graham on Twitter actually responds as well, saying Rocky 4 is just amazing. The Rocky franchise, Maxie, there's a lot going on there because you get is it the Creed spin-offs as well?
Yeah, which are really, I think they're really good.
Okay, I don't think I've seen them.
They're very the reception to them seems to be very much like Marmite. They're either loved or hated. I personally think they're a really refreshing kind of way to bring the franchise back. I mean, when you got to Rocky 5, it kind of got ridiculous. But I mean, Rocky 4 is all right. It's not the best of the Rockies. I mean, it's certainly not as good as the original.
Rocky 1 is such a good film.
And then the second one is essentially the first one run back. So I wouldn't say Rocky 4 is a better sequel than the other Rockies.
Okay. You mentioned Marmite there, Maxie. A little bit of a detour, I suppose, but I discovered something I really, really enjoy the other day. Sharon came back from going out for breakfast with her friends, and there was a couple of these little, the little dinky pots that you get of like condiments.
Okay.
There was a couple on her table of Marmite, and she thought, I'll get that for Si because he likes Marmite, and I'm the only one in the house who eats it. So she grabbed these little pots of Marmite. I'm like, they're tiny little dinky plastic that it wouldn't cover a quarter of a piece of toast. But I discovered that Marmite, when you dip a slice of pepperoni pizza in it, is the food of the gods, my friend.
You disgust me sometimes.
It was lush to the point where I said to Sharon, when you go next week, get me some more.
I bet you were looking at your pizza and just looking at the dip and going,
I've got an idea.
Yeah. So a bit of sizzle comes out of your ears.
Rob at UTT Rob on Twitter, and I 100% agree with this one. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, was a magnificent film, great story, and an excellent performance from Ricardo Montalban. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I said. As Khan. Whilst Star Trek, the motion picture, albeit visually stunning for the time, was quite boring. Now, I like my sci-fi, I like my time travel, I like all that sort of, I suppose, geeky stuff, you might say. Star Trek, never massively into it at all. Never massively got it. Next Generation, I used to watch a little bit when I was a kid. That's because we had like 4 channels and there was no tales on, But Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan, it doesn't matter if it's a Trekkie film or not. As a standalone story, it is a fantastic movie.
I'll have to take your word for it because I am not a Star Wars fan in the slightest.
Star Trek, sorry.
Star Trek. Apologies. I'm not. I see the visually they are well-made films, but it's just not. It's not for me.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Danny at Scottish Juggalo on Twitter. I suppose he's our resident horror expert, I guess, isn't he? He says, Evil Dead 2 absolutely blew Evil Dead 1 away. Way better story, more jump scares, and more interesting characters. Now, there was a film on the other night that I put on, and I think it was one of the Evil Deads, and I ended up watching quite a bit of it, and I really enjoyed it. But also, there's a chance it wasn't one of the Evil Deads. So,
is Evil Dead the one with Ash? Is the villain called Ash?
I don't know, man. There was just a lot of dead dudes running around biting people.
Mhm. Yeah. I haven't watched Evil Dead in so long. I couldn't say. I mean, I trust Danny's judgment in this. Yeah, I might have to go back and watch that to see whether I agree with him or not.
It's one of those again, isn't it? It's similar to when we watch wrestling of a certain age, or Dan Griffin and I watch Doctor Who of a certain age. You've got to place yourself, I suppose, in that time frame. The stories are they are what they are. You can still have great stories just in an aging setting or an aging film or aging effects. And some of these effects do look old and almost comical at times, I guess. But the story is what makes it, I guess, Magsy, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you like you said, put yourself in that position, you're watching this at the time it was made, this would look massively realistic. So it's only because effects, whether that's special or physical effects, have just gotten so much better nowadays that these older films they are dated, but like I said, the stories are just classic.
Yeah, totally. Millwall Chris at Millwall Chris1 on Twitter. Don't bother finding his tweet. It's fucking nonsense. He says he always preferred Die Hard 2 to the original. We'll just move on from that.
Wow.
Touchy subject, mate. Anya, my daughter, Anya on Twitter, she says here, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift is so much better than the original. Now, haven't they made about 87 of these films?
I think the next one is Fast 11 or maybe 10. I think there's 10 or 11 of them. Yeah.
Is it something you watch, Magsy?
For the first maybe 5 or 6, I did, but once it totally jumped the shark, and I think I may have seen one of the ones with the Rock in. Yeah, I'd give it up as a franchise. It got ridiculous. I mean, they were driving cars across the gap in between 2 buildings, and I think the next one they're driving a car actually into space. Yeah, it's got ridiculous. So
bit Sharknado-esque, isn't it?
Yeah. But I agree with her that Tokyo Drift is probably the best one of the ones that I've seen. I really like the story of that with DK Drift King being the baddie and drifting all the way down the hill, and then the young redneck, I can't even remember his name. I thought that was the better one because Vin Diesel's only in for the last 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. I've seen the first one. That's it.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh dear. So you have no thoughts on this whatsoever?
No point of reference at all, mate. I enjoyed it. It was right. It's not something I'd rush out to put on again, but yeah, it was okay. Ja at Yalmorite on Twitter. He says here, and this is a really random shout. You could have given me 100 films. I'd never have thought anyone would have suggested this. But, it's his opinion, and I've not seen the second one, so I'm just going to take his word for it. He says, I'm going with the Beavis and Butthead films. The first was the mid-90s. Then the sequel was last year. Massive gap between the two. The first was okay, but remember feeling disappointed as I loved the show. But the sequel last year was class, surprisingly great. Now, I enjoyed the first one, but not as much as I liked the actual TV show. Yeah.
I was not a massive fan of the TV show. It'd be something I'd watch if it was on, but I wouldn't actively go out and look for it. The first film, is it Beavis and Butthead Do America? Mm-hmm. It was all right. Not really my cup of tea. I do have a fondness for the soundtrack though. The song by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Love Roller Coaster.
Oh yeah,
brilliant song. But from every report that I've heard, the second one is meant to be brilliant. So I may try and watch it and see if I can find a copy and give it a viewing. But yeah, I will bow to James's pick there and say I couldn't say he's right or wrong.
Yeah, fair enough. Benny Mac at Benny Mac on Twitter, the awesome host of In the Corner on the SJP World Media Network with our good buddy Tyler Peters. He says, if you only count the original Star Wars films, The Empire Strikes Back is a great sequel.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, fair enough. We have at Pigs Bladders on Twitter here, King Pigs Bladders. He says, another shout actually for the Evil Dead Magsy. Evil Dead was made and subsequently banned. Evil Dead 2 was made to pretty much replace the first film. Pretty much same story, but a much better film. Army of Darkness comes out years later and is a great sequel. The TV series airs and is brilliant. The reboot was such a disappointment, just okay. Yeah, reboots do tend to suck, don't they?
Yeah, especially when it comes to horror reboots. Rob Zombie was it the Halloween ones, and they absolutely stunk. So yeah, I don't. It's been so long since I've watched the Evil Dead films that I can't really make an opinion. But I'm gonna have to check it out and see whether I agree with him. Whether Evil Dead 2 is better than Evil Dead 1.
Fair enough. Pigs Bladders continues. There's been many Predator films over the years, but the first one beats all the sequels and crossover films. And then came the most recent film, Prey, a prequel which has a whole new take on the origin story. It's brilliant. Breathed new life into a tired franchise. I've seen Predator quite a few times. Really enjoyed that film. I think I've seen Predator 2 like once, so I can't have enjoyed it too much.
Was Predator 2 the one with Danny Glover?
Are they in the city?
I think so.
I can imagine the poster, and it's the big alien dude stood on like skyscrapers and shit.
Yeah, I think because obviously they didn't get Arnie back for the sequel, did they?
Okay.
I think Danny Glover is the main star. Yeah, stick a pin in that one, King's Pig's Bladder, because we may be revisiting terrible sequels pretty soon.
Oh. Indeed. Another shout here from Benny Mac. He says, Aliens being Alien 2. Is that better than the first one?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. They expanded so much better on the story in Aliens 2. It's probably the best out of all of them, to be fair. Even the origin story, is it Prometheus? The origin story is called. I agree with him. Aliens is the better of the Aliens films.
Okay. Dan Griffin and I looked at a 80s Doctor Who story called Earthshock for the podcast in the last week or two. Actually, no, we recorded it. It comes out as we're talking now, Magsy Live. It comes out tomorrow. So if you're listening on the audio version, it would have come out last Tuesday. But yes, it was recorded a couple of weeks ago. And one of the Doctor's companions has short, dark hair. This girl called Tegan. And as the show goes on, she ends up in overalls. And then she ends up with a big gun, and you get a massive Ripley from Aliens vibes, like complete rip-off of the Ripley vibes. And then when I was doing research for the show, it turns out the alien spaceship that was in this Doctor Who story was made up of old parts from the spaceship that was in the first Aliens film.
Oh, wow.
Blew my mind, mate.
That's interesting.
Yeah, blew my mind. Absolutely brilliant. Speaking of my partner in time on the Doctor Who pod, Dan Griffin at Dan Griffin 21 on Twitter. He sends us a quick list, as he says here. We have Spider-Man 2 from 2004, The Empire Strikes Back, so another shout for that. Rocky 4, another shout for that. The Dark Knight, Captain America, Winter Soldier, X-Men 2, Lord of the Rings. I think I have seen 2 of those.
Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers is the very best Lord of the Rings film. It's so damn good. It's especially if you get the special extended edition. It's about 4 hours long, but it's glorious. So I wholeheartedly agree with the Lord of the Rings Two Towers. Spider-Man 2, I just have a soft spot for the original. I thought that was at the time, it was the quintessential Spider-Man movie. It really kind of brought Spidey to life in the real world. So, Empire Strikes Back, yeah, can't go wrong with that. Rocky, I've already made my thoughts on that. The Dark Knight, yep, it's so good. The Dark Knight is such a good film.
Have I seen that?
It's surely you have. It's the Heath Ledger Joker film.
I don't think I have seen. Sharon, have I seen that one in the chat? Have I seen that? I don't know.
It was number one on the IMDb top 200 for so long. I don't know if it's still number one, but yeah, it's by far the best comic book movie that there's ever been. Captain America: Winter Soldier, yep, I agree with that. Winter Soldier is a really good film. X-Men 2. Now, I've seen it. I don't particularly remember it. I don't think it was that memorable. I can't agree with that. But that's another franchise where they've done so many that they've kind of watered down the franchise for me.
I get that with Star Wars, and again, I'm not a big Star Wars fan. The first 3 movies I watched a lot when I was a kid. Quite like them. I wouldn't rush out to watch them again now. Anything since, it's like, a bit much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, with the first 3 Star Wars, they late 90s, I think it was, they brought out like a special edition like box set of them. They've been all like remastered and touched up. And I bought the box set, and I've never yet to this day opened or played any of those DVDs.
Brilliant. Okay. We have more from Dan Griffin here. Anyone who says Aliens or Terminator 2 over the originals are wrong. Alien and Terminator are great horror films, whilst their sequels are great action films. Can't compare them, in his opinion, he says here.
Well,
fair enough.
We have with one of them, and we will. So enjoy your shit, Dan Griffin.
Oh man. Yeah. Again, this is a bit of a funny one, really, because we've got a situation here where we're looking at films, and next week, obviously, you've already sort of hinted at it, Max. You're going to have something similar for next week's non-wrestling topic. Never really does well, because I just spend the whole time going, I've not seen that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe what you should do is put the topic out maybe a day earlier.
Yeah.
Get the replies and then just binge watch all of the films.
I'm far too busy a man to do any like that.
I do like the reply that Dan got to one of his comments. Somebody, an account called Pixel Fun, did a whole picture of Dan and Bret Hart, but all the little tiles are Spider-Man trailer frames, which is
why?
amazing.
That's insane. Why? Look at that.
If I put it on full screen, that made absolutely no difference. But yeah, every single frame is a picture of Spider-Man.
That is insane.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing.
That is brilliant. That is so good. Leader of the Optimist Club at official AB_POS. Love AB, absolute character, top-notch person. They say, I'm going to get shit on this. However, it's my opinion. Ghostbusters 2 is better than Ghostbusters 1, and Home Alone 2 is better than Home Alone.
Home Alone 2, I agree.
Okay.
They lost in. I mean, aside from the whole Donald Trump kind of advertising, I thought that it expanded on the shenanigans that Kevin could get up to. Ghostbusters 2, though, that it was just one massive advert for we're America and we're the best. Surely, I mean, the character of Vigo the Carpathian, that's a good character, but we defeat evil by bringing the Statue of Liberty to life. Come on.
Yeah, that is a bit much. That is a bit much. But I loved Ghostbusters, the original movie, when I was a kid. That was like one of those films that was on VHS that I played over and over and over again. Absolutely adored it. Ghostbusters 2, I really like as well. But I don't know. I don't know what my favourite is. I like the dancing toaster. That's cool.
The one thing that I do have an appreciation for from Ghostbusters 2 is they controlled I'm sure it's this, or I might be mistaken with a different film, but I'm sure they controlled the Statue of Liberty with a Nintendo joystick controller. It was
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, one of the old grey block job. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. It is. It's a good film. I love them both. And the tune that plays when the toaster starts dancing, that's a great song as well.
I
They've got
mean,
good
yeah,
music.
you really wanted to get that toaster over, didn't you? I kind
yeah.
of skirted over it because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not ridiculous. Don't knock my toaster. At Jimmy Evans. Sorry, at Jimmy Evans for real on Twitter. Big supporter of Nitro Nights on Twitter as well. Constantly retweeting the show. Tells me he listens every week. So I really appreciate that, Jimmy. Thank you so much. And he says Terminator 2 better than the original.
Absolutely, in every single way.
See, I think I lean a little bit towards what Dan Griffin was saying. Because, don't get me wrong, Terminator 2 is an absolutely incredible film. It's amazing. But whenever I go back and watch Terminator 1, yes, it's a completely different feel to it. There's not the effects there anymore or whatever, but it does feel darker and a bit scarier. And Terminator 2 is a bit more kind of action-based, isn't it, I suppose?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand the thought process. They are two different genres. Yeah, and both films are absolutely amazing for the genre that they're in. But if you're talking a direct sequel to a film, I don't think Terminator 1 holds up at all compared to Terminator 2. It's just, if that film was released now, it would still be phenomenal. What they managed to do with that film is it's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Two little sort of facts or whatever about Terminator 2 then. The role of is it T-1000?
Mm-hmm.
The one that
Robert
can
Patrick.
turn itself. Yes, that's it, yeah. Blackie Lawless, the main guy from Wasp, was originally thought of to be doing that role. He was apparently going to be in that role. But Arnie vetoed it because Blackie Lawless is like 6'5" or something stupid like that.
And he didn't want to be Sean.
Apparently so. That's what I've read that numerous times from various different sources. There's no smoke without fire, but I don't know how true it is. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And Blackie Lawless never speaks to any fucker. So we're not going to find out from him. But there we go. And the second one, you know the scene where the Terminator takes over, is it Eddie Furlong, the kid?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, takes over his mum.
Mm-hmm.
And the dad is getting the carton of milk out, and Arnie's Terminator tricks him with the name of the dog and that.
Yeah.
And it cuts back, and he's turned his finger into a big knife, and it's gone through the milk carton in the guy's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
When I was little, that gave me nightmares for weeks. I used to wake up screaming.
It is a brutal one. And then I don't know if it was actually in the original release, but I think it was on like when the film was released on DVD. You got like the extended scenes. There's a scene where the Terminator goes to check the dog, finds out that he's been tricked, and he kills the dog.
Mm.
Yeah.
What a bastard.
Robert Patrick, you absolute arsehole.
Oh, yeah, what a knobhead. He was in, what was that program? Again, this is turning into like a three-way show now because I asked Sharon so many questions because I can't remember anything. But what was that program, Sharon, in the chat that we watched that had Robert Patrick in it? And that kid was really clever. And it was kind of a little bit like, I don't know, the A-Team or MacGyver, but it was modern day. And they would go around with a really good-looking lass in it. I can't remember what it's called. But she'll tell us in the chat in a minute, I expect. Cam at CamGriff92 on Twitter. He says the Raid 2 was just as action-packed with just an epic fight scenes as the first, but had more story to it. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, I know of the films. I've not seen them.
Okay.
So yeah, I will bow to Cam's knowledge on that.
Okay. I don't think I've even heard. When he said the Raid, I thought he was referring to Raiders of the Lost Ark initially. Why is that funny? But I was like,
you're just simple, aren't you? You're just a simple human being.
But when I read it as the Raid 2, I was like, isn't that Temple of Doom? And then I started
I
thinking,
don't remember any epic fight scenes in the
Ah.
Temple.
and I started thinking, is Temple of Doom better than Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Oh,
I don't know.
man, it sent you off onto a
Yeah.
bit of a thought process.
The thing is with Raiders of the Lost Ark, I can remember quite a bit of it because one of those films that my dad watched loads. And it was always on like the Saturday afternoons and whatever. Temple of Doom, I can only really remember the bit where the guy bites into the eyeball when they're having dinner because
Yeah.
it made me retch when I was little. You know?
Do you know that there's another Indiana Jones film coming out this year?
Isn't he like 106?
He's very, very old, but we saw the poster in the cinema yesterday, and it's just a close up of Harrison Ford with the Indy hat on.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
I've not seen. I've seen the first 3 of them. The one with Sean Connery in as his dad. That's good. That's quite funny.
Yeah, is
Then
that the
there's-
Last Crusade?
That's it. And then there was one.
And
after
ironically, it wasn't the Last
it was
Crusade.
not the Last Crusade
whatsoever.
But then there was one after it that apparently had fucking aliens in or some shit.
Ridiculous.
I've
And there
never seen
wasn't there a TV show as well called Young Indiana Jones?
Oh yeah, but that's going back a bit, isn't it? That's going back
Yeah.
to like when I was a kid.
I bet there's new ones like Indiana Jones and the care home of Doom.
Yeah, Indiana Jones and making sure he gets his pills right, something like that. Time for your medication, Dr. Jones. Cam also says Kill Bill Volume 2 was his preferred. I think that's fair enough.
Yep, I like that.
Yeah.
It's a good pick.
Dark Knight is a film I can watch anytime and enjoy it just as much as as his first watch. Sorry.
Mhm.
Again, I've not seen that.
And there's so many little things in the Dark Knight that you only pick up on like multiple watches.
Okay.
Like
fair enough.
you'll watch the film and then you'll know the story, and then you'll see little things that you probably just glossed over in your first watch, and you'll go, oh, that was a spoiler, or that's where this storyline started to arc off and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay. Maybe you'll have to check it out. And finally, on Twitter, we have our good buddy Stevo at Total Stevo on Twitter. And he says, this is very, very difficult, but I personally have a couple and asked my closest mate too. So Terminator 2 is probably going to pop up a lot, which it has done, to be fair. American Pie 2, more fun, and they got to play around more with their characters.
I think American Pie 2, is that the one where Jim glues himself to a videotape and also to his own penis?
Oh, is that the one with Bandcamp? And this one time at Bandcamp?
Yeah, that happens in the first film, I think.
Oh, does it? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. Those are good. I wonder if they've aged well. I don't know. Because that's the similar thing. Got a similar sort of vibe to them as like Ready to Rumble, which we watched last week, didn't it?
Yeah, they're very much a snapshot of the early 2000s, I think.
I might have to go back and check them out. My mate Muriel said, Muriel, is that right? Muriel? Is that even a name?
Muriel. It looks like Muriel. Yeah.
Muriel. Okay. My mate Muriel. No offense to Muriel. I apologize if that, I'd realised that this is a live recording and I'll cut it out of the audio. It'll be fine. I'll start that again so we look really professional. Ready? Steve-O continues. My mate Muriel said aliens.
Will look professional. Laughs.
Yeah, brilliant. My mate Merrill said aliens. How did I forget this? Outstanding film.
Mm-hmm.
We got more shouts here for Dark Knight and Captain America Winter Soldier. And Steve-O says he also cheated and asked Google for films he'd seen. And here's one: Dawn of the Dead. Another shout out for Dawn of the Dead. Or was it the Evil Dead, the other one?
Yeah, it was Evil Dead, yeah.
Okay, so first shout out there, Magsy, for Dawn of the Dead. Again, as story development, outstanding work. Steve-O also says, like with a lot of successful short-form sitcoms, The Office, Extras, In-Betweeners, Faulty Towers, the second series, usually the best one, as we've established the characters and the actors get to play around with them more and explore more and get more background to them. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially those you list there, a lot of them are British, aren't they? They're English, British sitcoms and whatever. And we tend to make shorter series, don't we? So, I mean, Faulty Towers is a perfect example. They only made 12 episodes, even though it's supposed to
Yeah.
be coming back now. So
Well,
just when you're settling in,
it's the same with The Office. They made 2 6-episode seasons, and then the Christmas specials. So pretty much all those that Steve O's mentioned there have really short runs. I think the In-Betweeners might have 3 seasons altogether.
yeah, that's right. And then a couple of movies, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
So-
fair enough, mate.
makes a lot of sense.
That is all we have from Twitter, Magsy. So
Awesome.
have you got any that spring to mind that have not already been mentioned, or any that have been mentioned you want to elaborate on?
I mean, Terminator 2 definitely is up there as one of the not only the best sequels of all time, but the best movies of all time. Lord of the Rings: Two Towers, absolutely adore that film. I'm surprised we didn't get any shouts for Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior. For
Okay.
that's a brilliant film, and also Godfather 2.
Oh, see, that was the only one I could think of that I was going to put forward.
Yeah, Godfather 1 is an absolutely brilliant film. Don't get me wrong, but
Yes.
Godfather 2 is one of those films that takes the premise of the first film and just expands it so well. The story arcs in that film is so well done. So yeah, I'd definitely put the Godfather 2 up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was literally, like I said, the only one that I could really think of to put forward that we didn't already have. Godfather Part 2, because that is such a good film. So good.
And I suppose I think and this is going to almost sound as if I shouldn't be picking it, but I think the Toy Story sequels should be thrown in as well, and the Shrek sequels. Even though they are cartoon films, there is a lot of like adult aimed humor in them, and I think they just show the progression of how good animation got over those few years. Especially with Shrek. The Shrek movies are so good. So yeah, I'd throw in Toy Story and Shrek as well.
I didn't even think of that. Our Liv loves the. My internet's gone again, has it? Am I back?
Yeah, you're back, but I don't know for how long.
Oh, okay. I can see the little digits going back up now, so hopefully we'll return back to. It did this last week as well. It sort of dropped down a little bit and then came back again, but never actually got to the point
It's
where it
Virgin.
affected us.
On Mondays, they see how much internet traffic we generate for YouTube, and they cut us off at the knees.
Bastards. But yeah, as I was saying, our Liv loves Toy Story movies, but the Minions movies as well. And I think she said that some of the later ones of those are better. I think I'll have to double check with her, but yeah, it didn't even enter my mind. But yeah,
I think I've seen the first one. I've not seen any of the others.
okay,
They're the little yellow things, aren't they?
that's
And
right.
One
Yeah,
of them's got one eye, and they wear
Yeah.
goggles.
yeah, and they got like really sort of ordinary person names rather than sort of cartoony names. Like
It's Kevin. I think the one
Yeah.
with one eye is called Kevin.
yeah, something like that. Oh, good stuff, man. Good stuff. Thank you so much to everybody who has tweeted into the show, messaged into the show, etc., with your great movie sequels. Now, I'm sure you can take a hint to what's been discussed already, to what we might maybe be covering next week. But look out for the tweet with our non-wrestling topic for next week's show. Maxie, I suppose you better scan through the chat and honestly take as long as you like, mate, because I really don't want to talk about this absolute shower of shite wrestling match that won the poll.
Right, so let's quickly run through these then. First of
Such
all,
a dick.
Charlie saying what we all thought that Sharon was amazing as the quiz master, and yeah, again, can't wait for her to come back. She was she was awesome, and she's also back in the chat. King's Pigs Bladder says that Ash is the hero of the Evil Dead franchise. So yeah, I was right about that. Yeah, it's a film I'm definitely have to go to revisit to see if I agree. Scottish Dana, a lot of dead people. That's a perfect description of Evil Dead. I mean, it would be weird if there was just one dead person and he wasn't even that particularly evil. It's like,
I suppose, yeah, just mildly grumpy, something like that.
we've got a Facebook user saying, "Hiya, gents. Popping in sale or not 100%, so won't be staying around long." Well, whoever you are, hope you're feeling better soon.
That could very well be our good buddy Chris Goodwin, who I know has been quite poorly for a pretty long time now. He's had a few issues trying to get it sorted out and stuff like that. So whether that's Goodwin or whether that's Goodwin or not, first of all, to Facebook user, hope you are feeling better soon and catch what you miss on the audio version later in the week. And to Goodwin as well, I guess, hopefully, mate, we'll get you back up and running soon and everything will be back to its normal way. So, no, Facebook user in the chat again. It's Anya. She has been in hospital.
Oh, well.
Yes, that is true. Yes, she was in hospital. What would it have been? Last night. So, or night before last. So, yeah.
Oh, well, again, same applies. Hope you're feeling a lot better soon. King's Pig's Bladder says, it was Predator 2 in the City. I mean, that should have been the name. I mean, that's another sequel we could say is better. Babe 2, Pig in the City.
I've not seen it.
How can you, a Gloucester born and bred person, not have seen Babe, Pig in the City?
Why? Honestly, the amount of shit you give me for coming from Gloucester just because we got a few farms around us. Do you know what I mean? And the moment I say anything about Burnley, you're like, that's disgusting. That's disgusting. That is. I mean, you're just a housing estate in Blackburn anyway. So,
wow. Well, actually, according to a tweet that Mr. Graham from the MGB podcast sent over, people think that Burnley is actually in the USA, which is very strange. So I'm going to change my allegiance to supporting the Americans.
That's quite a journey then for the Burnley football side, isn't it? When they've got I don't know, Stockport away or something. That's quite a trek.
Whoa, Stockport away? We're not that low down.
What division is Stockport in?
Like the League 2, I think.
Oh, are they? Oh, I didn't mean Stockport then.
I mean, we faced the mighty Preston recently.
The mighty, two-time league, 4-time league champions, mate.
Amazing. And we whooped.
Suck it, Arsenal. They won the league without losing the game first, all right? I mean, it was 1872.
They are and they played that 4 games.
Yeah, that's it. Very quickly, I wished Chris Goodwin to be feeling better soon, completely forgetting that his name, once again, is Joshua Goodwin, and Chris Goodwin is a kid I went to school with and not the same person. So,
but if he is feeling poorly, hopefully you are also feeling better soon, Chris.
Yeah, there you go. Anyone I went to school with, if you're feeling poorly, I hope you're feeling better soon. Apart from my old art teacher, he was a not very nice person.
Whereas I like my art teacher very, very much.
You did indeed.
Anyway, let's go back to it. Sharon says The Dark Knight is 100% agree. Absolutely amazing film. Yeah, it's even for a comic book film, it's so damn good. And she says you've seen bits of it, but you've not watched the whole film.
That's the dot, isn't it? Yeah.
Heath Ledger still her favorite Joker. I think Jared Leto gets a lot of grief for his rendition of the Joker. But I actually enjoyed that version of the Joker better than Heath Ledger's. But neither of them are as good as Cesar Ramirez, the original.
Hang on. Are you just sucking up to Sharon now because she's the quizmaster? And you're
no, absolutely not. Oh, yeah, she does like Jared Leto. Jared Leto. It was he got all the flack he deserved. It was shit that job. No, I honestly think he got a lot of grief for that Suicide Squad version of the Joker, but I thought that the character work was so damn good. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I thought he was the best character in that film.
Okay. I like Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, it's all right. It's not.
It's only because I haven't seen any of the others.
So you've got no comparison whatsoever. You like that one because it's the only one.
Yeah, pretty much, mate. Oh, that guy who did it in the 60s.
Yeah, that's who I said, Cesar Ramirez.
Oh, is that him, is it?
From the TV show.
With the purple suit and that, yeah. Yeah, I saw a picture of him the other day. And obviously the Joker paints his face up and all that sort of stuff. That fucker had a mustache. And didn't shave it off. He would just paint over his mustache.
Painted his mustache, yeah.
That's brilliant.
Just classy. Absolutely classy. Charlie says that they need to watch more Captain America films. And Sharon says, I've seen them, which is cruel. But yes, you do need to watch. And then, oh, look at this, just this loving moment. I want to watch them with you, and we will.
There we go.
Just so heartwarming. Sharon says Scorpion. No, that was
that's the TV show.
the Robert Patrick show.
Yeah, that was all right. That was for a little bit, and then they cancelled it.
I remember him in another role, and I'm sure it was Spy Kids. I think it was Spy Kids that he was in.
He was in X-Files.
He was in X-Files, yeah. When it was shit.
Yeah, at the last couple of seasons when Mulder, some weird shit happened to him, he disappeared or something. I don't know.
And then he came back for the movies.
Yeah.
Cam says, evening CWF, late in, but I'd only just got the little ones to sleep. And Sharon says, you missed her quiz master debut, which you'll have to go back and listen to, or rewatch this once it's finished airing.
There we go.
Sharon says King Bob is her fave. So I'm assuming that's one of the minions. Yeah.
Yep.
Cam says they call Kevin, Stuart, and Bob. Is Kevin the one with one eye and the massive goggle?
I don't know.
I'm sure they'll let us know. No way, Sharon. We'll need to get it on the podcast. And yeah, the confirmation that it was Anya. Hospital again, Anya. Hope you're feeling better very soon. And Sharon says she loved Jared's Joker, but Heath was just epic. Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Heath's performance, but I just thought that Jared it was. I just for the amount of scenes he was in, he just captivated me. I have actually watched the standalone Joker film recently as well with is it Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. That's a brilliant performance. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Okay. So I've seen adverts for that and clips of that, and I thought that does look quite good.
Yeah. Well, it's on Netflix, so get it watched.
I will definitely do that.
When you pay double again next month. But,
yeah, exactly.
But that's the chat all caught up with.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Shall we just end the show now? I think we should just end the show now.
I don't know how you're saying it. Like, you put this crap forward.
I do these things, and then I regret these things afterwards. And this is something I held off watching it on purpose because I knew how dog shit it was.
Brilliant.
And it hasn't aged well at all. Shall we just get it out of the way?
A bit of wrestling, Max, yeah.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Say how reluctant the world is for us to cover this. The universe throwing out signals. I've lost my notes. You know,
I mean, it's not like you need many notes. What did the match go? 9 minutes.
I found them. The winner of the poll, meaning effectively we are the losers in life, is the Undertaker versus the Boss Man, WrestleMania 15, Hell in a Cell match. Why do you people do this? Why? Why can't we just have nice things?
Why must they torment us?
Oh dear. Okay. The whole storyline is based around a burning teddy bear or some shit, Mags. I don't know what's going on.
It was based around the Undertaker wanting to take over the WWF, and he was going through the McMahon family. He was kind of stalking the McMahon family, threatening the McMahon family. And when Vince tried to man up, I suppose, and put Undertaker in his place, Undertaker started to go to his house and attempted to break in. This all would eventually lead later on down the line to the Undertaker kidnapping Stephanie and the whole dark marriage and the whole higher power, and it was me, Austin, all along.
Yeah, but you watch the build up to this match. We're not at that stage yet. I mean, to me, you
No,
got a big story.
absolutely. I mean, what I'm getting at is it had a fairly decent end, but this part of it was just horrific.
But surely WrestleMania and Hell in a Cell should be the end of the feud.
This I have several, before we even get to the wrestling, I have several issues with this match. First of all, it's heel versus heel, because at this time Bossman was he was the security for Vince McMahon, who was a heel.
That's a question I was going to ask you, Maxie. Who's the babyface here?
There is no babyface. So a Hell in a Cell match for me doesn't work if there isn't a babyface. So that straight away is two black marks against this match. And then you just mentioned it. This is WrestleMania. This is where big stories culminate and finish, and then the Raw after WrestleMania is where we get the roll on for what's going to happen in the next year. So this should have been like the final boss of this storyline. That person is not Big Boss Man. Big Boss Man he's a secondary character. As much as Ray Traylor, the wrestler, was a great hand, he's not a WrestleMania level opponent for a storyline, and certainly not a WrestleMania level opponent in the co-main event match. This was the match before the title match. Yeah, it just it starts off on a bad run. So the only way to save this match is for the action to be good, and it absolutely shits the bed. Because for me, I mean, we know about Undertaker's Hell in a Cell matches with Shawn Michaels, an absolute classic. The match with Mankind, an absolute classic. There was no way that this match was ever going to live up to them, because you had two wrestlers who were so similar in the way that they wrestle, that you had no one for big spots, you had no pace in the match, you had no high flying. It didn't need the Hell in a Cell. It was absolutely no point, and obviously we now know the reason why they have it in a cell, because of the finish. But yeah, it didn't need to happen, this match.
Oh, dear me. The burning of the teddy bear as well. Did you watch the build-up package to this?
I did, yeah.
Right. Now, everything you've spoken about there, the ministry, the corporate ministry, and it was me, Austin, all along, and all that, the wedding with Stephanie and all that sort of stuff happens after this match, right? So they put together this video package, as they do, and normally do very, very well for the WWF, to promote the match that's coming up and remind you of the storylines and all that sort of stuff. I watched the build-up to this, and I'm thinking, why are these two even... Is it just because Undertaker's that far to a teddy? What's going on? Because then there was one moment where you saw Shane and Vince panicking because the Undertaker was supposed to be at their house, and there was no phone. But then the Undertaker wasn't there anyway, apparently.
No, he was pretending to be Kane.
He was indeed. It's just bollocks.
Although I think those happened on separate weeks. I think.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Because they'd asked Kane to protect Vince, and it ended up being that it was the Undertaker hiding as Kane. Yeah, it's very ridiculous and convoluted, but it just felt that this whole WrestleMania was the McMahon show.
Well, I'll ask you about that, actually. I've got a note here to ask a question about this. Whenever I go back and watch anything from WrestleMania 15, which is very, very rare, to be honest. I mean, there may be hidden gems there that I've missed out on. I don't know. But whenever I go back and watch anything for WrestleMania 15 for the purpose of any podcasts or research or whatever, it doesn't feel special. I mean, you can dive into pretty much any WrestleMania from any era, and, there's only 40 of them now. And it will, whether it's the arena or the stadiums now, I guess, the layout, the lighting, the new ring gear people are wearing, even down to in the early days, just the commentators wearing tuxedos or whatever. Something about it makes it feel special. This just feels like it could have been, and it's effectively just a Raw.
At best, it's a B-level pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It
doesn't feel like a big deal.
It's in a small arena as well. I think it's only a 20,000 seater arena, which that's minuscule for a WrestleMania.
Yeah,
especially in this era when wrestling was so hot.
Yeah.
And then you talked about ring gear being special. The Undertaker's ring gear is fucking atrocious, absolutely atrocious. I am not a fan of it at all. The whole kind of S&M Undertaker logo where you're seeing a little bit of his chest. Oh, come on, Taker. Yeah, that's
stupid, satanic, silly beard he's sporting.
That fucking beard. That beard.
Oh, what a clown. Oh dear. The Ministry theme though, that's a good entrance theme. That's a bit of a banger.
Yeah, I think was this the first time he'd used it as well?
I don't know.
Pay-per-view? I think so, a little bit. But yeah, it's all right. It starts. Yeah.
So the match starts. The guys are in the cell, and the first thing I notice is potentially for maybe the only time in a Hell in a Cell match, the crowd is absolutely dead. You get the standard two guys standing across the ring from each other, or sometimes guys will just start brawling straight away if it's a heated rivalry or whatever. But there's normally a reaction from the crowd, whether they're standing across the ring from each other, just staring, or they start. They don't give two shits. This audience, They are silent.
They're that silent that halfway through the match you can actually hear Paul Bearer saying to Undertaker, "Whoop his ass." Yeah, you can hear them calling spots. At a WrestleMania, you can hear them calling spots. Yeah, this was the core main event, people. This wasn't in the middle of the card. This wasn't the curtain jerker. This was to set up the crowd for the main event, and this was a piss break. It's as simple and clear as that.
The match begins, and it's what we refer to on this show and on Nitro Nights as punchy, kicky bullshit. Is a phrase that I sort of use quite often because that's all it is. It is literally just punchy, kicky bullshit. Until the boss man, and this I suppose shows how dire the action here is. The fact that I've made a note when we get the big boss man using a net breaker, because at that point it was a fucking highlight. It's just a swinging net breaker. You know, in a Hell in a Cell match, that shouldn't be something that stands out to me.
I know for the first few minutes, it's just punches in the corner. I mean,
it's just a wrestling match. You don't need the cage.
I mean, you do need the cage for the finish, but every other aspect of this match didn't need the cage. And I suppose they tried to incorporate the cage with the handcuffs, which worked like a chocolate fire guard, because they were the shittiest, cheapest handcuffs that you could ever get. First of all, Bossman struggled to even lock it against the on the cage, and Undertaker had to basically just stand there and just let him do it. And then the moment he took a shot and fell to the ground, I'm assuming his arm was meant to stay hung up. The chain the chain on the handcuffs just gave way. So there was absolutely 0 point to that spot whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, just before we get the handcuffs moment, we get the Undertaker throwing the boss man into the cage. But it's so springy. It's like, I mean, it's like hitting
a trampoline.
It's like, when I was 16, 17, probably up to about 20, I worked as a salesperson in a furniture store. And when the manager used to go out on like a Wednesday afternoon doing deliveries, me and the other young lad who worked there would put mattresses, big double mattresses, up against the walls and just run into them for fun, because you could just bounce off them and go flying.
For fun.
Yeah, because it was so springy. We'd line the back wall of the warehouse up with mattresses and just run at them and jump, and you just bounce off them. That's what the big boss man looked like he was doing here, bouncing off a freaking mattress.
And you was 20 at this time.
Yeah, 18, 19, maybe 20. Something.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree with you. It was it was so it was comically springy.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. With the handcuffs moment, then the boss man's got his nightstick, which
he'd wedged in the cage for
Yes.
to collect later on.
yes, when he hits Taker with the nightstick in the head, and Taker goes down, and the cage breaks. It's WCW levels of terribleness when you see the blading. It's the most. I can't believe, first of all, that this happened on a WWF show. It was The Undertaker, and it was WrestleMania. It might as well just have a big neon sign above his head saying, "Look what I'm doing here."
And then the amount of blood that came out, it was not worth him doing it whatsoever, because it was the tiniest trickle of blood. It was like a nosebleed with of blood.
It was. The Undertaker is obviously free now because of the plasticine handcuffs, and and he goes and fetches a chair to absolutely zero reaction. The crowd just don't care that there's a chair involved now. They don't care the handcuffs came out. No one's interested whatsoever. Oh dear. They then go back in the ring after the Undertaker swings the chair once or twice and so on. And we get the Undertaker doing the old school, as they call it, the walking across the rope, but Bossman crotches him. And then we go back into more punchy, kicky stuff, a few clotheslines. So what we've just seen... Yeah, because what we've just seen... Yeah, well, we're bouncing Bossman into the stood-up mattress and the plasticine handcuffs falling apart and the nightstick being used. That's all we're going to use to sell for during the match. That's it. So it's completely pointless from bell to bell, this being in a cell. It is a waste of the gimmick.
It's only for the post-match spot. That's the only reason it was in a cell.
We may as well just get to, after the old school is countered, the Undertaker hits the Bossman with a low blow, attempts a tombstone, Bossman kind of gets out of it. They run into the buckles a couple of times, which apparently is set up to a WrestleMania finish in this era. I don't fucking know. And
that's the go home.
Yeah, and then the Undertaker hits a tombstone for the 3 count and wins the match. So that is the wrestling match itself. So that is, I guess, what we will be marking out of 10 in a few moments, Magsy.
So it was less than 10 minutes, and at least 4 of those minutes were the Undertaker and Bossman being worn out and tired.
Yeah.
It was this was on a WrestleMania in the co-main event, in probably the outside the world title, the biggest storyline that WWF had going on at the time, and
the hottest period in wrestling as well, mind.
Yeah, and Bossman is the main opponent for WrestleMania for the Undertaker. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't. This is where, as much as I love the McMahon Austin story arc, the McMahons were in so many of WWF stories at the time. They had the fingers in so many pies that they were spread way too thin. I mean, they managed to get some semblance of order out of it at the end, but when you're heading into your big show of the year, the reset for all your stories going heading into the next WrestleMania, this was just. There's a reason why this is one of the worst 5 WrestleManias in history.
Without a doubt. So, I suppose the whole McMahon family drama is a soap opera. It's what they were going for at the time, and this is prime Russo era WWE booking. It's WWF booking, isn't it? Sorry. So I suppose we can kind of see that the McMahon storylines and the soap opera aspect being down to that potentially, but Vince is the one who okays it all at the end of the day. So McMahon, sorry, not Russo, of course. Yeah. Maxie, do you want to talk us through what happens afterwards then?
So after the win, the Undertaker is focusing on the top of the cage, and in a segment that takes way too long. And I understand the logistics of it. there was a lot of moving parts to this segment, but this just drags out, and the boss man has to ham it up with being knocked out from that single tombstone. But we get the Brood stinging it down to the roof of the cage. So we've got Gangrel, Edge, and Christian dropping on the wires to the top of the cage. They rip a big hole in the center, and then they thread a rope through the roof of the cage, tie it to the frame of the cell. So this is why it had to be a Hell in a Cell match, because they needed the frame of the cell to take the weight of this rope, because on the end of this rope there's a big old hangman's noose. And that hangman's noose is wrapped around the throat of Bossman. And then we get Paul Bearer overacting as he presses the button to raise the cell. And we have the visual of someone being hung, legitimately hung. Now, obviously, he didn't get hung, and you can quite clearly see that there is a wire linked to a body harness, because it lifts all of Bossman's ring gear up at the back of his neck. But it's the visual of hanging someone on the biggest show of the year, that the crowd get to watch someone being hung. I mean, it's just who. I mean, Vince McMahon, obviously, but who proposed this as this will be a good spot?
Bro.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And then I've seen interviews with Edge after this, and he said when they were being lifted back up on the wires from the top of the cage, his wires got stuck, and he was actually almost nearly crushed between the cage and the stadium lights. So it almost yeah, he's just hanging there. He just absolutely.
They all go back to their
Gangrel
corners.
are gone, and he's there just hanging in midair.
The Brood all go back to their corners, reattach themselves to their cables, and then make this pose. And they all get zipped up to the air. Edge goes up a few yards and stops. And then the hard cam, that somebody must have been screaming in the headset somewhere. Just zoom in, cut it.
Cut to camera too.
Because the hard cam adjusts so you can't see Edge just sort of hanging there going, oh shit.
So you have this visual of Bossman, and props to Bossman. He actually makes it look pretty realistic. He's able to make his face go all purple and stuff like that. But you've got Michael Cole on commentary. He must have, if he said, "Oh God, is this symbolic?" Once, he said it 1,000 times, and whilst you're there witnessing what looks like the killing of a man, he throws to a video package showing the WrestleMania Rage Party with absolutely no thought of the safety of Bossman whatsoever. And then after that package, they welcome Jim Ross back as if the last match had never happened. No comment about Bossman. They just didn't give a shit. Like the crowd.
Which again is just, I mean, I've got a couple of issues with this. I mean, first of all, the match was shite. So from a wrestling standpoint, it's shite. The build-up, the story, and so on is all wrong. As you said, Mags, it should be a blow-off and so on. It's Mania, it's this, that, the other. But it's not. It's just a stepping stone on its way to something else. So that's all wrong. The crowd don't give a shit either. The competitors in the match are not well suited to be in this. Every single step is wrong. Now, you then get to the finish. Tombstone the guy 2 or 3 times to make him lie there that long, for crying out loud. I have a little bit of a think, because you're making him look ridiculous. You then have the aspect that the cell wasn't necessary at all from bell to bell. Then the whole hanging aspect, even that looks like, I mean, Bossman did his best, and fair play to the guy, but it looked like shit.
Yeah.
Edge got stuck. You know, it's just, and you got to remember as well, they run these little vignettes all the time, don't they? Of don't try this at home. I wonder if there was ever a situation where some young kid put the cord from his dressing gown around his brother's neck or something because he saw this fucking shit. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, can you imagine the lawsuits? It shows how much the WWE regret this match, that whenever they mention Undertaker's streak or his Hell in a Cell matches, this is never ever brought up.
No. Well, he killed a man, Magsy. That's what it comes down to. He killed the dude. Do you know what I mean?
He killed the territory.
Yeah. So then, I don't know how you want to go about this, because the whole point of this was for that shitty, horrible visual at the end that left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. But normally we review bell to bell, but I suppose it is part of it. Out of 10, Mags?
Oh, just terrible match, terrible wrestling. The only point to the cage was the spot at the end, which didn't go well, didn't look well, was a bad on every single metric. The fart didn't have the gravitas of a wrestling match. It was heel versus heel, which doesn't work at all in this situation. Bossman was not a wrestler on the level of an Undertaker opponent. There's no redeemable qualities about this match whatsoever. They mess up the blading, they mess up the spot with the handcuffs. I said at the beginning of the show, this may be a record breaker, and this is going to be my first negative score. I'm going to give this negative. I'm going to give it -5. Fuck it, -5.
-5. Oh my goodness, that makes it the worst match we've looked at.
And I contemplated. Well, I looked over the ye olde spreadsheet that we've never updated in so long at some of the terrible scores that we've given some matches. I would happily go back and watch Sting versus Meng at Bash at the Beach than this.
And what did we give that? A 2, wasn't it, or something like that?
A 2, yeah.
Okay, I didn't even consider the possibility of negative numbers, but I hated this that much. I'll give it that 0.
I don't disagree.
So
it was an awful pick, and whoever put this forward is an absolute tosser.
Do you think? Yeah. Oh dear me. Shall we have a quick run through the chat magazine, see people's opinions in there, or shall we jump straight to our links? And I
mean, we could go through the chat just to refresh the palate, I suppose. So Cam says that was excellent. I think he's it means Jared's Joker and the Heath. What are your thoughts of the second one being in a musical with Lady Gaga? Oh no, wait, am I talking about the right thing there? I have no idea.
I've got no idea.
Cam says he actually voted for this and he doesn't know why, because Bossman is doing his Eddie watching Nitro.
But thank you for joining us on Nitro Nights, Cam.
Yeah, absolutely. Sharon voted for it as well because she just wanted to see the world burn. He also brilliant in the House of Gucci. I've not seen that. King's Pig's Bladder didn't vote for it, but he had to put up with it just the same. So he says it was mine and Cam's fault. Fantastic in American Horror Story. I assume we were on about. I mean, this just seems to be a chat between Cam and your good lady about Lady Gaga.
It does.
Which is way more entertaining than this match ever was. But Scottish Danny says this is almost the Bossman's worst Mania outing. I would say it's the second worst match. No, would I say no? Actually, I would put this over as the worst than the Giant Gonzalez, because at least that's corny enough that there's some enjoyment in it, that it's so ridiculous. There's no redeemable factor about this Bossman versus Undertaker match. So I'd say that this is a worse match because the two wrestlers are better than this. The Undertaker obviously is a better wrestler than Giant Gonzalez, but Bossman was a good worker. Bossman knew how to wrestle. Giant Gonzalez didn't know how to wrestle. He was there just for the spectacle. So this should have been a better match than it was. So I would put this as worse than Giant Gonzalez's Undertaker.
I would want to pitch a quick question to Scottish Danny, actually, if you're still in the chat, my friend. He says there, this is almost Bossman's worst Mania rating. What's Bossman? Did Bossman have a worse match than this at Mania?
I mean, yeah, let us know. I mean,
Yeah, what are you thinking of?
How
Danny?
could Bossman have a worse match than this?
Hmm.
Anyway, King's Pigs Ladder says, this is, well, great. It's not great. It's terrible. Graham from Good Cop, Bad Cop, late after Liverpool game and my tea, but just wanted to say hi before I headed back to the start. Oh, thank you very much.
Hello.
We always appreciate you. And then Cam says, got to build up better viewing for next week, Gilbert. Well, we'll see what picks are put forward.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So I've got 2 picks in mind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know which way I'm going yet. I'm intrigued to see which way you go.
Okay.
So what have you got for us, Magsy?
Oh, right. This was actually the first televised singles match between Bossman and The Undertaker, even though they kind of like danced around the same wrestling scene for quite a while. They'd never been on a televised never been in a televised singles match with each other, which I thought was actually really, really shocking. And it made me think of other like wrestling first matches that you would have thought that had happened before, which takes me to a match that I've put forward on this show and it got rejected. And I'm actually really disappointed it got rejected because I think it's ironically one of the funniest wrestling matches you will ever watch. So that's Hogan versus Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam 2005. They had never had a singles match before that match. But because these douchebags make us watch terrible matches, I'm not pitching that forward. I'm pitching a match that was in the build-up to that match from actually Backlash a couple of months before the SummerSlam, where Hogan and Shawn Michaels teamed up to face Daivari and Muhammad Hassan. So that's the match I'm going with. I don't remember the match, but that's the one I'm going with. Hogan and Shawn Michaels facing Muhammad Hassan and Daivari.
And what event was that, sorry?
Backlash 2005.
Backlash, okay. Okay, so Hogan, HBK, Daivari versus and Muhammad Hassan. Interesting. I don't really remember that either.
No. It was in Hogan's like that little run he did in 2000, like mid 2005.
Yeah, I remember Hogan coming back at WrestleMania and kicking Muhammad Hassan's ass because he was bullying Eugene.
Because he's
in
America.
Yeah, exactly. When Real American hit and all that, I'm not gonna lie, I marked out to that moment. I was like 11 years old again. That was cool. So
it was. You're right. And
brilliant.
then Hogan wrestled.
and then the bell out to ring. I'm gonna go. I suppose. I mean, you've got an aging legend there, haven't you, in Hulk Hogan in your match, and it's a tag match as well.
Evergreen. I'd call him Evergreen.
Would you really? You'd be fucking lying. But no, you got a old guy in a tag match there, I suppose, on a pay-per-view. So I'm gonna do the same thing. And if people want to watch shit, if people want crap, I'll give you crap. How's about that? Okay. So going up against Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan versus Daivari and Muhammad Hassan is this. I'm using the link of the arena because I love doing that. I like going back and seeing what else has happened in that particular building. And this was the first Union Center, put my teeth in Philadelphia. The Survivor Series event of 2006 was also held there. Around this time, there was a group of wrestlers who I know Scottish Danny will get a little bit of a grin about when I mention them, and that is the Spirit Squad. And the Spirit Squad, in a 4-on-4 Survivor Series elimination match, took on a team of WWE legends that consisted of Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Ron Simmons, and Sergeant Slaughter, with Arn Anderson in their corner. So going up against Magsy's pick this week, I would like to revisit that Survivor Series 4-on-4 match of the Spirit Squad taking on Team WWE legends Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Ron Simmons, and Sergeant Slaughter.
I mean, we must think so similar. It's uncanny. I was looking for a way to link to the Spirit Squad from this episode, but I
Were you
couldn't.
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I couldn't find a way to do it.
Why was that? Did the Spirit Squad just pop in your head to this week for some reason?
I don't know what it was, but it was just. I thought we haven't watched any Spirit Squad matches. Yeah, that's really weird. Really freaky. That.
So those are your options on the poll that will be out later in the week. Make sure you vote, retweet, and all that good stuff. Yeah, that's it then, Magsy, I suppose. Brings us to the conclusion of this week's show, unless we've got anything else in the chat that has popped up.
Pig's Bladder says we want a Funaki night. Now, that would be a stretch of a link to get to Funaki from either the Spirit Squad or Hogan and Shawn Michaels versus Daivari and Hassan, but I'm sure we can try.
Both of us put up a Funaki match. But if we do that, we're going to upset Cam Griffin because he's been asking for a Gilbert match for like what seems forever.
Unless there's a hidden Gilbert versus Funaki match.
Or, even better, them teaming up to take on somebody else.
It might be worth scrolling the WWE archives to see if that actually happened.
And we get the most like ridiculous stretched out link possible to try and make it from one to the other.
And then it's a 10-star classic.
Yes, it might well be. It might well be. It's going to be better than the shit we watched this week.
That was fucking gash.
It
absolutely
was
gash.
Terrible. It was. I nearly said that was awesome then because Pig's Bladders has just put awesome in the chat, and I read that halfway through speaking, and that's just the way my mind works. Magsy, where can people find you online, my friend?
They can't because I am not there anymore. But I am down here at Podfather Mags. I've been doing some retweeting and the like. Or I'm on TikTok at Mags All Pods, so you can find me there.
Awesome stuff. The best place to, well, first of all, my Twitter handle is at SJP Words, if anyone's interested. But more importantly than that is to follow the network itself at SJP World Media, where you'll find, obviously, this show, the audio version as well. And then all the other great shows we have there with all the brilliant hosts we have. There's far too much to list. Modern wrestling, nostalgia, TV, all sorts of great stuff. Go and check it out. I think there's a little bit of something for everyone. So there's that. But most importantly, even more so than that, you can follow this show on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and that TikTok thingamy at @chain_wrestling. It's at @chain_wrestling. And also jump on the merch store. It's on our Twitter handles. It's on all over the social media for the network shows. And it will be tagged in the description of this episode as well when this goes onto your podcast players. And have a little look. There's new shirts there for Nitro Nights. There's new shirts for the Doctor Who pod, all sorts of stuff. Just go and have a little look, see what you think, give us some feedback, and maybe treat yourself to something nice.
Absolutely.
There we go. Okay. Magsy, that's it then, mate. I'm off now to go and watch Shawn Michaels versus Owen Hart because I don't think I've seen it and I'm quite surprised.
And I'm off to bleach my eyes from watching this load of shit. Goodbye.
See you next week, my friend.